Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am filming another Disney video today, which is very exciting because it feels like a long time since I've done a Disney video. I am going to go sit down in just a second, as I usually would, but I'm doing a handheld video today rather than a tripod video, mostly because my room is in desperate need of a clean and there's too many bags on the floor, so there's not much space to put my tripod. So yes, I am doing a handheld video, so if I'm a little bit shaky like this, then I apologise. But yeah, at some point I will get around to cleaning my room and you'll get a tripod video very soon. Okay, I'm all sat down and I'm ready for my video. Got my Mickey ears up there and my my nice castle and princesses picture that you can see there. I also got one from Buzz Lightyear as well. Oh, and the Harry Potter Studios. Lots of cute little pictures up there, which you don't usually get to see when I've got my tripod. See, there's a silver lining to everything. So my video today is going to be about tips for first timers. Now, if you are new to my channel and you haven't seen me before, I am Emily and it all started with a blog on YouTube, and basically I do lots of videos about Disney. I do things about baking sometimes. There's sometimes things about the theatre, things I get up to, trips and stuff like that, but the main theme of my channel is Disney. So if you are interested in Disney, particularly Disneyland Paris, because that's my expertise out of the Disney parks, it's kind of my home park, then if you're interested in that, subscribe and check out some of the videos that I've already got, and I'm sure you'll find them quite interesting. So as I said, this is a tips for first timers video. And I've got a couple of tips. I've been to Disney now 16 times, I believe. I'm losing count. And obviously I've had the first time. I've had the first time for experiences in the park as well, even recently. I had the first time with my boyfriend a few trips ago. And yeah, it's really exciting having the kind of first moments that you get when you're in Disney. And I still have plenty more to do because you can go 16 times and still be missing a whole bunch of stuff. So it's all very exciting, and I'd like to give those people who haven't been before a couple of tips to make their trip as smooth as possible. Tip number one, I would definitely recommend staying in one of the resort hotels. So that means staying on site in the Disney area. You can do it the other way, so booking your own villa or an Airbnb, there's plenty of them nearby, but I would absolutely recommend staying on site. The hotels are beautiful, really lovely themes, you've got everything that you need in there, but also when you stay on site you get extra magic time. They used to be called extra magic hours until last October when they changed to extra magic time, and that is an hour before the park opens. You get to go into the Walt Disney Studios park and the Disneyland park, and it's just open to hotel guests, so you get that little bit of extra time before every Joe Public comes in and makes it all very busy. So I would utilise that time and I'd stay in the hotel as well, because also when you book through the Disney website, if you're staying in a hotel, you often get deals and discounts and stuff. So often it will say 25% off your hotel, or it will say free dining plan because you're booking a hotel. So there's extra little things to think about when you're doing that, but I think that staying in a hotel really does benefit you. Staying in a hotel also means that you don't have to pay for parking if you were to drive in from somewhere like Davy Crockett. And with the other hotels, they're all close enough to walk. You can't walk from Davy Crockett, but the other hotels are close enough to walk, and they're up to 15-20 minutes depending on how quick you walk. My boyfriend and I went the January that's just been. We stayed in Sequoia Lodge and we took just under 10 minutes maybe to walk to the parks because our walking is pretty quick. So yeah, it's really not that long a walk. You also walk through the Disney Village as well, which is a really nice walk to do because you get all the shops and the restaurants and stuff that you can have a look at too. So yes, I would certainly recommend staying in a hotel. Tip number two, I would say go with a plan and some sort of a bucket list, I suppose, of things that you want to do while you're there. Do your research beforehand. On the website there's all the different bits of information about the restaurants and the rides and all the shops and all the things you can do in the parks and stuff like the village, the hotels, all that stuff. There's lots of information online, so do your research or watch people's vlogs like mine. I've got plenty of tips and tricks in my Disney Vlogs playlist. If you go with a plan, it's going to be far more beneficial for you. I know some people are very different and they just like to go with the flow. That's fine. You do it your way. But for me, the best thing to do is to say, you know what, I'd like to do Big Thunder Mountain, I'd like to eat at Inventions with the characters, and I'd like to have a hot chocolate at Cafe Fantasia. If you say those 3 things in your bucket list, you've then got something to aim towards each day. Otherwise, as first timers, it can be quite overwhelming, and you can find yourself wandering around the parks, not really knowing where to go or what to do. So I would certainly find yourself some sort of bucket list, some sort of a plan, and perhaps say, I'd like to see the parade once on this day. I'd like to watch this show once on this day. And things like that are really going to help you have some sort of an itinerary for your trip. Tip number 3, this one's really important. I've seen lots of things recently online. I'm in the Facebook group called Disneyland Paris for Brits. It's a really, really useful Facebook group if you've never been before, or even if you have been before and you want to experience some new tips from other people. And it's a big discussion group, and a lot of people always say, I didn't know I could use fast passes. So, full disclaimer right here, fast passes are for everybody with a park ticket, which should be everybody in the parks. Doesn't matter if you're staying at a hotel or whether you're staying at an Airbnb, if you're staying in your own hotel outside of Disney, if you've come for a day trip, or whatever your circumstance, fast passes are for you. I think a lot of people were thinking of them like Extra Magic Time, where it was only for hotel guests, Disney hotel guests, but that's absolutely not the case. What you do is you get your fast pass ticket by going up to the machine, which is next to the entrance of the ride that you want the fast pass for. You scan your park ticket, and then once it picks up the scan, it churns out another little kind of paper ticket, and that is your fast pass ticket. It then gives you a half an hour time slot to come back. In that time slot, you get to go in a shorter queue and get on the ride quicker. These are for everybody to utilise, but if it's something like Big Thunder Mountain, which is a very popular ride, in peak periods, those fast passes will go very, very quickly. So at 10 AM when the fast pass queue opens, if you want to do something like Big Thunder Mountain in a fast pass, I would suggest getting there at 10 AM and really running there, going for it. Otherwise, you are going to struggle to get a fast pass for Thunder Mountain, or such likes. Peter Pan as well is quite a busy one. And if you do get a fast pass, if you get it at 11 o'clock possibly, the fast pass time probably won't be till 6 PM. So you then have to wait a long time to get on that ride. But fast passes are really, really useful. Now, a couple of rules about fast passes. So rule number 1 is that you cannot have 2 fast passes at the same time. So if you wanted to get a fast pass for Thunder Mountain, and you got there at 10 o'clock and your time was 11:30 till 12, then you could not get another fast pass until you've used the last one, till 12 o'clock. If it's something like you get the fast pass at 10 o'clock, but the time slot isn't till 6 PM, you can't get another fast pass until 1 o'clock, which is 3 hours after you got your fast pass in the first place. So you can have 2 fast passes if something like Thunder Mountain happens and it's a very long wait. Now, rule number 2 is that not all rides have fast pass machines. There's a select few in each park that have fast passes, and they are decided by which rides are very busy a lot of the time. The only one I don't understand is the Flying Carpets over Agrabah, which is in the Studios Park. Whenever I'm there, it's not that busy at all, and it's just a little bit of a worse version than Dumbo, and Dumbo's not got a fast pass. So, I mean, that's just one person's opinion, but I don't get why it's such a popular ride. So yeah, it's a bit strange, but they're the popular rides in the parks. You can find the full list of them in another one of my videos, and you can find them on the Disneyland Paris website as well. Tip number 4 is, if you are going for more than 2 days, and you're going at a busy time, so August particularly, the beginning of August is a very busy time to be going. It's also very hot, and the park days are very long. They open at 8 and they don't shut till 11. So, I mean, that's 15 hours of park time that you could be using. And if that's the case, I would strongly suggest that you find the time to come out of the park in the middle of the day, go for a swim in your pool, and then go back in for the evening. You'll feel a little bit more refreshed, Disney park days are very, very busy. You don't need the rest, but it's a really good idea to do so. Otherwise, by your 3rd or 4th day, you're going to be shattered. And especially if you have young kids, they're going to be grumpy and you're not going to enjoy the end of your holiday. Now, it's worth pointing out that the Cheyenne and Santa Fe, both of those hotels, do not have swimming pools. You cannot use the swimming pool in any other hotel. You're paying the price for the bigger hotels and what people would say the better hotels for the luxuries like a swimming pool. Personally, I think Cheyenne particularly is an absolutely wonderful hotel, and I wouldn't say it's worse than any of the other hotels. I think it's really good. It's just more of a budget hotel. So you're paying for the things that you get, and obviously you don't get a pool. You do get a pool at the Davy Crockett, but the however in Davy Crockett is that you have to drive into the parks. It's not walkable. Tip number 5 is if you are going and have never seen a Disney parade before, I would 100% recommend watching a Disney parade. It's a really great way to see all the characters if you're not the sort of person that really wants to queue up and meet characters. And even if you are that person, seeing all the characters at once is so much fun. It's really catchy, the songs will get in your head. It's a wonderful experience watching a parade. But I would watch it once. Watch it one of the days in your trip, and then spend the rest of the time on the rides, basically. So if you, for instance, were going Monday to Friday, then you might say on the Wednesday, we're going to watch the parade. So then when it gets to 5 o'clock, or whatever time the parade happens to be that day, you, from about 4:30, can get on rides really, really quickly because everyone's sitting there waiting for the parade and waiting to get their good spot. So it's a really good idea to use the parade time to get quickly onto the busy rides, things like Peter Pan and stuff like that. They're usually really busy. But even things like It's a Small World, they're often 15-20 minute waits, but you can walk on during parades. So it's a really good chance to get onto a walk on during parade time. Tip number 6. Head to the back of the parks first. Now, I've said this in another one of my videos, which is actually my first video I ever did on this channel. It's very cute. And it's one of those things that a lot of people don't think about. When you get to the parks, whatever time that might be, but preferably morning, it works best. If you get there at 9 o'clock, say, the best thing to do is to head to the back. So for me, it'll be Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, Pirates of the Caribbean doesn't open in extra magic time, so it'll be 10 o'clock that opens. If you're a day tripper or you aren't staying in the Disney resorts, then 10 o'clock, get into the park, head straight to Pirates of the Caribbean. Because a lot of people will start at the front. They'll work their way through the shops, they will go into a bit of Discoveryland, maybe Frontierland, because they're the kind of closest bits to do. Or they will go straight through the castle into Fantasyland. Do Adventureland first, because at that point, nothing's busy. And you can basically get on things as walk-ons. Indiana Jones will be a walk-on, and then make your way into Frontierland or Fantasyland, depending on what sort of fast passes you want to get. Alternatively, what you could do is head straight for a fast pass at 10 o'clock, so Big Thunder Mountain, Peter Pan, those sort of things. Head straight for one of them, and then head to the back of the park for the less busy queues. It's a really good tip if you want to go at a peak period, because everything's busy in peak periods all the time. So the best thing to do is to find these tips of how to minimise your queuing time, and one of them is to head to the back first. Tip number 7. I would take your own raincoats. It's one of those things that's a big debate in the Disney community. Do you take your own raincoats or do you use the Disney ones? People tend to suggest that the Disney ones are a better quality and they will keep you dry if you need to be dry. But for me, it's much cheaper to bring your own raincoat, and it's a raincoat that I trust as well. I've used it in all my trips, and apart from the last one back in January, which was insane rain, it was just awful. It soaked through my raincoat, but in every single other trip I've used that raincoat and it's been perfectly fine. So I would take your own raincoat, because at Disney they give you out these ponchos and they're €20 each for a poncho, basically for a plastic bag. So personally I would take my own raincoat, and I would suggest that you do the same thing as well. But again, if you're one of those people that like souvenirs, then maybe your Disney poncho is a good souvenir. This is purely subjective, but I would certainly take my own raincoat because I trust it. You'll need it in a lot of the time because it's very similar to British weather in Paris. Ever so slightly warmer sometimes. But yeah, it's pretty much British weather. It's very cold and dreary a lot of the time. And a raincoat will be needed. And I don't want to spend 20 euros on a raincoat. Tip number 8. This tip is something that we have used as a family for a long time. And it is that Eurotunnel is usually cheaper than other places like flying or the ferry or anything like that. And that's because we use our Tesco club card vouchers. And as a family, we shop at Tesco a lot and racked up a lot of Tesco club card points. And actually, last time we went as a family, which was October, it didn't cost us anything for the tunnel because we used our Tesco club card vouchers. So it's really, really good using them. And every £10 worth of Tesco club card vouchers you have, you get £30 to spend on the Eurotunnel. And one way on the Eurotunnel is roughly £60 if you're doing a short stay, which is under 5 days. So yeah, it's a really good thing, and you can actually get a whole trip for free. So that's something that's good. If you had to travel for free all the time, that would be a great deal. So yeah, that's really good, and I would definitely recommend doing the Eurotunnel. It's really quick, really easy, and if you don't mind driving on the continent, then it's really something to look into. But at the moment, Disney are doing, as you can tell, I've been looking at Disney, they are doing a deal at the moment which is really, really good, which is where if you're staying at the Davy Crockett, you can get a free P&O ferry crossing. Free. That's tempting. That is a tempting deal. I've never been on the ferry, ever, because I've always done Eurotunnel. Or I flew a couple of years ago. But I've never done the ferry, but it's tempting to do the ferry if it's for free. And this deal that I've looked at is staying at Davy Crockett, 25% off hotels, free crossing, and a free half-board meal plan. Love it. Amazing. So yeah, it's a really good deal at the moment if you wanted to check that out. You need to book by the end of July though, so if you're going to do that, make sure you are thinking about it pretty soon. Tip number 9, take snacks into the park with you. Now this is one of the things that a lot of people choose to do. If you're on a budget, it's really, really good because it stops you from having to buy lunch because you just bring a snack pack with you. And it could include things like packets of crisps, maybe some biscuits, raisins, like snack packs of fruit, that sort of stuff. A lot of people would choose to kind of have slightly unhealthy things because they're on holiday, so that's fine. And I probably would too. But if you can include some fruit that's not going to go a bit soggy in the heat, then yeah, absolutely go for it. It's a really good idea when you're on a budget. If you've got a half-board meal plan, you then have breakfast at your hotel, you have snacks in the afternoon, and then you have dinner, all paid for, at dinner time. So snack packs are really good. Obviously, if you have an unlimited Disney budget, like it would be really, really great to have every time I go, then definitely try out some Disney food because it's really good. It's really tasty, and there's lots of snacks and stuff there as well. Things like popcorn and croque monsieurs and Disney-shaped treats. So you've got Mickey marshmallows and Mickey cookies, and my favourite thing was a toffee apple. But instead of toffee, it was chocolate, basically. So it's just an apple covered in chocolate. Chocolate apple, I suppose. But yes, it's one of those things, and it was really good, really good. So it's definitely worth checking out the Disney snacks if you can afford them. We have reached our final tip for first timers. Now, tip number 10. This is a very important one. If you've made it this far through the video, you are clearly very dedicated, and therefore you have earned the right to hear the best tip. Here we go. Book restaurants before you go. Huge, huge priority. It all comes part of the first tip, which was planning and preparation and things like that. It's one of those things that people forget to do, or they think, oh, well, you know, we'll wing it. Which is great, but if you're going at a busy time, people will book 60 days in advance. And you'll be that person that won't have booked 60 days in advance. And then when you get to Disney, you'll have to just make do with whatever's available, which probably won't be a lot if you're going in a peak period. If you have specific restaurants and places to eat in mind, the best thing I can recommend is at 60 days before you go, ring up the Disney reservations line and book your restaurants. Then at least you have a plan. So you can say, I've got my reservation at Crockett's Tavern at 5:30, and you can plan the rest of the day around that. So you've got at least this little kind of base to start making an itinerary for your trip. So other than that, my other tip is just to embrace Disney. Embrace its childishness, embrace its magic, embrace the fact that when you walk through those gates, you are a kid again. And it's so great. You can just forget everything that's wrong with the world, and you are in Disney, and that's all that matters. It's so great. Take in the smells, take in the sounds, take in all of the colours, and there's all these intricate details around the park that really make it special. And a lot of people forget that, and they're very intent on riding the rides and then going home. But there's so many intricate details that make Disney special. So definitely just take your time, try not to rush too much, and take the time to really take in the experience that you're having, because it's one of those experiences that once you've been, you will want to go back for more. That's it. Those are my tips for your first time at Disney. If you enjoyed it, let me know down in the comments below. If you've got your first trip coming up, let me know as well. If you've got your 18th trip coming up, also let me know. I love hearing from you guys, and I love the support that I get every single time I post a video. So thank you very much for continuing to support me. If you haven't subscribed already, please do in the button down below. And I've got a pooah, I've got a porg, I've got an Emil, I've got a little poo. Oh, very cute. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do for more upcoming Disney tips and tricks videos. Who knows, maybe at some point in the future I will have another trip planned to Disney. We will see. Only time will tell. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next vlog.